You carry yourself like a man who has never doubted his right to lead.
Doubt is useful for scholars. A king who doubts every step will find his army walking past him. But you look like a man who has led for a long time and paid for every mile.
Then answer the question. What makes a king? Blood? A crown? Fear?
None of those. Blood may place a man near a throne, and a crown may convince fools to bow, but neither makes him a king. A true king is the one whose dream is so vast that others rise to follow it.
And yet dreams can devour people when they belong only to the one leading. A king must also be defined by the burden he accepts on behalf of others.
A burden? How dreary. A king must be more than a man carrying sorrow. He must be a horizon. Men do not cross deserts because someone whispers, "Endure." They march because their king makes life feel larger than fear.
Then the question is whether they march as followers or as sacrifices.
A selfish dream is only hunger wearing a crown. But a king's dream must be so magnificent that others see themselves inside it. My men followed because they chose the road I revealed.
Leaders shape the choices others believe are available. A student may call it courage when it is only obedience dressed in noble words.
Ah, you fear the king who consumes his followers.
I fear the leader who mistakes devotion for permission. There is a difference between lighting a path and setting people on fire to see by.
A fine line. Have you crossed it?
More than once.
Then perhaps you speak not only as a teacher, but as a king who failed.
I have never been a king.
That is not for you to decide. If generations move according to your plans, if warriors gather because your words shape their hope, if enemies name you as the mind behind resistance, then you have worn a crown.
A hidden crown, perhaps. I concealed truths to preserve morale. I called it mercy, sometimes strategy. But secrecy can turn protection into control.
Then you forgot the first duty of a king, to stand where all can see him. His people must see his courage, greed, foolishness, laughter. They may love him, challenge him, or abandon him, but they are not led by a ghost.
Yet openness invites enemies.
Let them come. A king who cannot be challenged cannot be trusted.
You are not wrong. But some wars outlive any one lifetime. Some victories require patience, restraint, and the willingness to be hated for choices no one else can understand.
Hated? A king should be loved.
A good king should be worthy of love. That is not the same thing. If people believe in a perfect hero, truth will feel like betrayal. A king must give hope, but hope that can survive being honest.
Mine is simpler. A king is the first to desire and the last to apologize for desiring. He becomes a banner. He says, "There, that impossible thing, we will reach it." His spirit makes cowards remember courage and wanderers find direction.
Beautiful. Also perilous.
Everything worth following is perilous. A king who promises safety above all else breeds small souls. But a king who truly shares his dream makes his people greater than they were alone.
Then perhaps we differ less than it seems. You believe a king must embody a dream. I believe he must be accountable to those who bear its cost.
Put those together, and you may have something.
A king must inspire without deceiving, protect without possessing, lead without turning people into tools. He must carry fear, but not pretend it is absent.
And hungry enough to move the world. A king without hunger is only a monument waiting for moss.
And a king with only hunger becomes a monster.
Agreed. The true king is not the man who merely rules. He is the man whose life gives shape to the courage of others.
And whose conscience remains awake when their courage answers him.
Tell me, Ozpin, if your students asked whether you were a king, what would you say?
I would say I have been a headmaster, a guardian, a strategist, and at times a warning. That noble intentions can become chains if we do not trust others with the truth.
Then you still have the heart of a king. Too fond of secrets, far too fond of tea, but a king's heart.
And you have the heart of a king who could make men chase the sunrise. I only hope you would ask whether they wished to chase it.
Ha! Perhaps a great king does not merely command followers. He awakens them. Once awakened, they must be free to walk beside him, not beneath him.
Then we have our answer. A king is not made by the crown he wears, but by the people who become more fully themselves because he led them.
And by the dream he dares to place before them.
And by the truth he is willing to place in their hands.
Then may every king be judged not by how many kneel before him,
but by how many stand taller because he lived.